There are two genders.
Oh, no, you're not allowed to say that. You are not allowed to say that. Which are the twos?
Well, joining me now is the author and commentator Angelica Mallet, Talk TV's Esther Krakow, and Fox News contributor Tommy Laren. So Tommy Laren, let me start with you. Two people in Britain today who've been at the forefront of not saying what a woman is. One is Nicola Sturgeon, the ex-First Minister of Scotland, who lost her job because of this ridiculous farce of a rapist self-identifying. She tweeted today, proud on International Women's Day to visit my old University of Glasgow, and banged on about women's rights.
I'm glad she lost her job. Are you freaking kidding me? Sending a man to a woman's prison? Yuck.
This is the woman who just literally lost her job for allowing a male rapist into a female prison. And Sir Keir Starmer, who's leader of the opposition Labour Party here, was talking about protections for women in Parliament today, and yet he refuses to say what a woman is.
Yeah, why would you even go on International Women's Day when you just sent a man to a woman's prison?
Where are we with this? How has it come that leaders of parties in countries like the UK, and you see a lot of it in America as well, just won't say what a woman is?
Well, first of all, I have to apologize to you because all of this wokeness originates here in the United States of America, and then we export it to you in the UK.
Yes, you're to blame.
Canada and Spain too.
We started this really in America. Yes, we are. You know, the wokeness starts here and then it, of course, moves over. And now you guys have to deal with it. The world has to deal with it. But I say this. I'm proud to celebrate International Women's Day because I know what a woman is. So I would say if you don't know what a woman is, you don't get to celebrate it. You don't get to pretend to be a feminist when it's helpful to you or helpful to your political narrative. You have to be able to define what a woman is. This is all a farce. They are seeking to erase women. And this is the radical rainbow mafia, as I call it. This is not your average LGBT activist. This is...
Nicely said. Isolated incident. We're not talking about you. We're talking about impressionable people right behind you, pretending they're your ally, that usually are changing the laws in position of power. Those people.
The rainbow mafia section of that radical LGBTQ movement that has made women less than and then has elevated all of this transgenderism and all of this pick your gender, identify as potato.
Okay, they don't see that coming. Okay, thank you.
They have hijacked the women's rights movement, the feminist movement, and actual feminists should be really pissed off about it.
Well, as a feminist, I am. I recently interviewed Angelica, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and I asked him this question, which seems to stump many other leaders. Here's the clip. What is a woman? We know that Nicola Sturgeon can't answer that. We know Keir Starmer can't answer that. You're the British Prime Minister. What is a woman?
Yeah, of course I know what a woman is. Adult, human, female.
Ooh, no, you are not allowed to say that. Female? Transgender people don't like that because you are reminding them already they're not the biological version that they wish they were. Right?
It's not difficult, is it, Angelica? I mean, that is what a woman is.
I mean, I don't know why you're obsessed with defining it. Like, what is a man? Like, why do we need these arbitrary...
A man is a male, adult, human.
Yeah, you know why you need to be able to identify as a man or a woman? Well, it's very simple. If you have a restraining order and it's related to law, if you identify as a woman, the restraining order, it doesn't work anymore because it only works against a woman. What? Yes, it's an issue happening right now in Spain that people are changing their gender because as a woman they have so many benefits compared to men. Now men are identifying as women to be like, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. Government, give me money. No, you're not a woman. Well, I'll be now a woman. Give me 20,000. Here you go. Have a good start. Yes, that's an issue.
Right, okay, I don't know that we need
these are just biological facts, but they're just facts. They're not arguable points, are they?
But I think we have a right to self-identify. And you said
As
you
what?
want to...
As what?
If you'd like to be a woman, you can identify as a woman. I don't know why there is such an issue around
We've
that.
literally just seen a male rapist use that scam to get himself put into a female prison where he could attack vulnerable women inside a female prison, when even his ex-wife said it was all a scam.
Which is a terrible, very distressing, isolated incident.
It's not freaking isolate. Go to freaking Canada and go see how many ladies are getting pregnant. What the heck are you talking about? The slippery slope is everywhere. And people are like, well, I have never seen it. Or maybe your algorithm, that's why you keep saying it because you're looking for it. No, I care about women. And I find out that's a normal thing. And of course the prison doesn't want you to find out because they won't get the funds to be a prison. So that you never see that. Well, next time when your daughter did something bad, when she was defending herself and you send her to prison, well, not you, but the government, because she the person, Imagine she goes to the prison and then she's locked with a man.
Bad news.
Oh no. Anyway.
And I think it's easy to take that and say that means that no one can identify as a woman. And
But
that's
it's not an
not
isolated
fair.
incident, though.
But it's
42% of trans-identifying prisoners in prison are in there for sex crimes. There's actually an advantage, evidently, to identifying as a female because they never identify as male because somehow male prisons seem less appealing to them. It's really weird. Anyway, but
Is it limitless, this self-identity?
It's not totally limitless.
What's the
But
limit?
when you're talking about International Women's Day, I don't know why we take the conversation around International Women's Day and make it about this.
But if anyone,
there's so many benefits.
but if
to having
anyone,
a day.
according to
You know, because it's weird that if I want to talk about snippety snip that's happening to women too, as a man, feminism is about equality, so I should be able to talk about myself too, right? That's what I think. If I say, hey, there's a lot of male pitchy pim, they will kick me out. But if I identify as a woman, suddenly I can say the same thing. But I'm not allowed to fight for men.
you can identify as a woman. Anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with
To literally put their hand up and say I'm a woman.
But it's not an easy thing to do, to go out into
Actually,
the world.
it's
very easy.
Very easy.
You might think it's easy to say, but to decide to do that, to say,
what
this
does
is
doing
who
it involve?
No, it's freaking easy because I can do it and you're not allowed to say anything. You already set the rule. Even the police agrees with that because they won't even dare to touch that because they have a job. The whole agenda is created at such a level that nobody wants to be entertained with it until it kind of brushes the kids. Then people or moms are exploding like, yo, no, we're done with this bullcrap.
Whatever that person decides, but to
Does
go
the
out
boy
into the
make
world
up?
and say, I don't identify as perhaps the sex I
So
was
why
born
can't
as,
I
it's not-
identify? Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian? I'm serious. I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I on International Women's Day say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
Yeah. I mean, come on. You don't check my Facebook to be sure that I'm celebrating that? No, not a zippo. I can just do it and we need to accept it. Are you freaking kidding me, bruh?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status,
I think that's
talking about quite a
with
strong
respect, I think
physical
that
change.
you'd already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. You can do what you like. Anyone can say, I'm a woman. So I simply ask you, why can't I?
I mean, this point kind of ridicules trans people to an extent.
Actually, I think what you...
No, it's not ridiculous trans people alone. You're ridiculing us too. Because trans people now can say, you know what, I'm a trans woman, but I want to be a lesbian with a penis. That's the problem. There is no reality, so anybody can do whatever they want. I've said that word too many times.
You said ridiculous trans people because actually people who go through the full process of transition, who actually go through what we used to call a sex change, which I don't think you can muck around with original biology, but those who actually go through surgical procedure over a number of years, I've got great respect for that very difficult journey they go on. I have zero respect for people who just wallop their hand up and go, suddenly, I'm a woman and I want all the rights that a woman has and I want to compete, say, in sport. I'm a 6'4" athlete, sprinter, swimmer, whatever, who's competed very mediocrely in male sport. I now want to come in and crush women in swimming pools and in sprinting events and break all their records, perhaps irrevocably, just by saying, I'm a woman. I think that is the absurdity you were talking about. My response was to say, well, if it's limitless, why can't I then say whatever I want to say? And you say immediately, as I knew you would, well, that's ridiculous. But my point is, you were being ridiculous.
Well, that's your opinion. You can think I'm ridiculous, but I don't think you can say, well, it has to
I don't know why I am, but you're not.
I don't think you have to say it's post-op is the only way that someone's allowed to identify
Well,
as
the
trans.
original
It's
standard
not
for
us
hold on,
to
the original
decide.
standard for being transgender was being diagnosed with gender dysphoria, which is a legitimate condition. And now it's being, however way you feel.
Yeah,
So if you feel on Tuesday you're a woman and on Thursday you're a pizza, that's perfectly valid. But to you that's ridiculous, and I want to know why that is ridiculous. We should be talking about actual women on International Women's Day. That's not crazy.
I mean, I agree, but your idea of an actual woman...
The chromosomes. It's pretty
It's an adult female. It's not
The
difficult.
chromosomes are a pretty good indication.
I don't think you have to be biologically female to identify
Then
as a
you are
woman.
wrong, because then I can identify as a fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's
You
a kind
can.
of absurd point.
How many,
Why-
well, let me ask you this, Angelica. How many genders are there?
2.
There are 2 genders.
Oh, no, you're not allowed to say that. You are not allowed to say that. Which are the twos? Trans woman and trans man? Oh my God. This is ridiculous.
Wow. So you don't believe in transgenders at all?
Well, I think there are...
Whoa, hang on. Whoa.
Yeah,
There are 2 genders.
whoa.
It's taught in...
Well, you say, well, you've literally just launched this huge defense of transgenderism. Now you've eradicated it.
I think
If there are 2 genders, you mean male and female, right?
There's gender fluidity. I will...
Fluid between what?
With
what?
what?
Between different identities, and we can choose different
You see
identities.
how difficult this is,
Wait!
though?
But it is difficult, but I think making...
But it's not...
Yes, you make it so difficult.
difficult until you make it difficult. You see, the BBC has done teaching videos for 11 and 12-year-olds where they say there are 100 genders. One of them was astrogender, which is an affinity with the stars and the galaxy.
Yo, what the...
My response to that on the last show I did was to say, well, in that case, I identify as a two-spirit penguin. I was then told I was being ridiculous.
You know what's even worse? There are kids with so many genders created on freaking TikTok, and they are added to the 100. Hey, we're 99. We need one more. Well, let's go on TikTok. I'm sure a kid just invented one.
But I made the same point. The ridiculousness is the BBC teaching kids there are 100 genders. There aren't. It is absurd. Bring back Tommy Lehran, who I imagine is hyperventilating over there in America. Tommy, I mean, look, I don't see why, if it's limitless, I can't just say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian. Because that is where limitless self-identity takes us. It means that male rapists can say they're women and get into female prisons. It means I can say I'm a two-spirit penguin or a black lesbian, and why can't I? Because that is where it takes you.
Well, it certainly does, and I think you just had the perfect argument there. It's impossible to define, and it's impossible to stand up for because it's a mockery of what actual people are. And furthermore, going back to children, when this happens at a young age, when you start trying to convince kids that they don't know what gender they are, or they're born in the wrong body at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, that's child abuse.
Yeah.
All right? Gender-affirming care.
Yeah. That is child abuse. Let me just show you something to give you a good idea what they mean.
All right, we're going to give you 60 seconds of lip sync.
So that's a transgender party. Usually started back in the day. We just want to read the book. Now we want to dress in a way because we want to express ourselves like we're a transgender, but it always seems to be very sexual. And now kids are dancing just like them, walking around, taking money as if they're a prostitute. I'm like, why? Why would you consider that freaking normal? Why is that part of your gender or the thing that you wish you want to do in front of people? Why does that give you purpose? It makes no sense. But now people are waking up because they realize in the end, it reached kids and mom and parents are going crazy. That? No, because that's misogyny. Call him a terrorist.
Wherein you only tell somebody they can be whatever they want to be regardless of their biology at a young age, that is child abuse. It's happening in the UK, it's happening in the US, and this is making room for groomers to groom young people, to confuse the heck out of them, make them not know what they are so that they can take advantage and exploit them. Now, I want to be very clear here. This is not the mainstream LGBTQ movement. There are a lot of conservatives that even support that movement. This is a radical agenda made by groomers, and they don't want you to call them groomers, which is a perfect example of why they are groomers. This is what we're doing, is to confuse young people, to confuse all people, to make them dumber, make them confused as to what they are. It's a mockery of women's rights. It's a mockery of human rights, and we should no longer be having a discussion.
And you end up with scandals like the Tavistock Clinic here in London, in the UK, where they were basically mutilating children, young kids, teenagers, mutilating their bodies irrevocably. And then it turned out, after it closed, after a scandalous report came out, that 97% of all the patients had other conditions, from autism to depression to other issues.
Yeah, that was happening. A very good example. There was a girl that when she was young, she had a friend, and this friend got raped, right? Which is a bad thing. And she had the feeling that because people can see her body change, it might happen to her too. Yes, and this happened because there was a girl, her friend got raped. It gave her anxiety, especially when she was growing her parts, when she get reaching puberty and everything. And she was like, oh my God, anxiety, chippity chip, you're gonna feel better by yourself. And guess what? She realized, damn, I made the mistake. I did something, nobody talked to me. After 2 Zoom calls, they just went forward and took everything away. And they help you very good to do it. But once done and you get issues later, or you're not happy, and you talk finally to a psychologist, they're like, well, I guess you were never trans, but you told us before. So, hey, we just went with it. And they don't talk about the fact that they get all the money.
Which may have been affecting their ability to think straight about what they wanted to be. And that was, to me, as a father of 4 kids, utterly horrific.
Yeah.
Just horrific. This was going on, and anyone who tried to raise concerns about this, and journalists did, were immediately branded transphobic. And Esther, this comes back to what we see with people like J.K. Rowling.
Therapists were going to work, and they quit the job, psychologists, within 6 months. because they have to accept that they are transgender. And if they don't, they will lose their license.
I'm no friend of J.K. Rowling. She can't stand me. I don't like her, right? It's like fire and water. But on this issue, I've not seen a word she said that is transphobic. Yeah. I've just heard her go, I want to support and protect women's rights. For that, she's been unbelievably.
Because there was a clinic where ladies were traumatized, and she said only biological ladies can go there. And a lot of ladies say, I don't want to see a man if I'm being traumatized. Trust me. But a lot of people on the other side, well, it's just a pee-pee.
Hounded, abused, attempts to cancel, which fortunately have backfired. But it's all wrong, this, isn't it?
But the thing is, and one of the shocking things that she's been attacked for is for drawing attention to domestic violence and violence against women. And that's actually the biggest point here. Other than the fact that, that male rapist was allowed to go into a female prison in Scotland, there's a genuine danger around allowing men into women's spaces like women's shelters and like that, and they can be there just by identifying as a woman and then identifying as a tree the next day.
Right, so Angelica, do you understand that part of the argument?
I understand that part of the argument, but I mean, Tommy said, I don't think this is confusing for children. I think it's giving you freedom of expression and freedom of choice.
How many girls did you know? Like my wife was a bit of a tomboy when she was young, right? How many kids do you know, young girls in particular, who are tomboys? But if the wrong person gets hold of them and persuades them actually what you should start doing is mutilating your body and have a full attempt to become a boy, that's not what most tomboys end up wanting. They end up actually going through puberty, getting older, and then that's it. They become women. Right? But if you get hold of these impressionable young minds too early, when they're just clowning around being tomboys, that's the danger to me.
I don't think the messaging is as extreme as you think it is, and I think we
Tavistock Clinic was pretty extreme.
I think we whip ourselves into a frenzy thinking these things, and this language that you mentioned at the start of the show, I don't think you hear that language used that often in like everyday speech.
Which language?
And I think what you were saying.
Oh no, these are on NHS websites.
Yes.
No, this is where you're wrong. This is actually NHS websites in many cases.
I got you on camera.
They genuinely call women chest feeders, birthing partners. They dare not say anything gender specific to women in case some trans people don't like it. To which I say, where are the rights of women to be called what they want to be called? Why does all language have to be degendered for a tiny minority of people?
I think the problem is there's so much fear around having these kind of conversations and saying...
No, there's no freaking fear. For me, you don't really care about women. You care more about the agenda. You care about people that have hurt feelings, and they understand that. But as a person that if I go to a prison and I meet a stronger man than me, I need to bend over. I think that's an issue when you're like, well, I don't want to be in that situation. I'll just go to a woman's prison. It's kind of disrespectful that even me as a person, if I get the opportunity, I will use the same thing because I don't want to go to a man's prison. Are you freaking kidding me? I'll be respectful to the ladies. But if a rapist can even have the opportunity to do that, I'm like, yo, I might be a blessing to the ladies. You know, I'll treat them respectfully. Maybe they're going to jump me. I don't know. But anyway, let me know what you people think about the whole gender situation. Like, share, hit the bell notification. Let me know how you would identify when the police arrest you. Ladies and men,